What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Tbn Project podcast. This is the first of many, I hope. I'm your host, Joel Rapana, and TBM Project, or the Tbn Project as it's known, has been around for a little while now. And the reason why I wanted to start this podcast essentially was just to get the message out there and just start sharing a bit about what I've come to, I suppose, learn over the last couple of years from some recent experiences in my life and the trajectory and journey that I've been on, and I suppose the learning and the takings that I've been able to get from these experiences. I only want to pass on and share and use to help anybody out there in a similar position to myself that's maybe struggling with a certain habit or trying to overcome an addiction. I'm no expert in anything of that sort, but I suppose if we can build a community to bind together and start sharing some of these, these learnings, and try to invest in trying to be deliberate and intentional in trying to make ourselves better men, it can only benefit us and our communities, and our whatever jobs, careers, but most importantly within the walls of our own home or our family. So my name's Jolan, as I mentioned before, and the TBM project has been something that's been on my agenda, or something that I've been working around or with for about 2 or 3 years now. And it sort of spawned off an idea that I had from my previous work life as a rugby player. I was lucky enough to have a couple of years in professional sports as an athlete, and from that experience I was exposed to some really, I suppose, high level elite coaching and mentoring, along with some really world class high end sports conditioners and scientists that really were able to execute at a really high level. And I was able to be on the daily exposed to that environment and to learn from. So how do we get the Tbn Project? How did this come about? Now, the question that I've had in my mind for a long time is, how can I'm a goal-driven person, and I've always wanted to try to be the best at whatever it is that I did. If it was playing marbles, if it was riding BMX or whatever, I always want to give it a red hot crack and try my best, and as I mentioned, try to execute at a high level. And so from a young age I've had a competitive drive, and there's many things in my life that have driven me to be scared or intimidated in many arenas. For example, when it comes to sports, I've always been, there's certain areas of footy that intimidated me, especially like ball handling, contact, that type of thing. So when I was growing up, I was thrown in the deep end from an early age from my father to be exposed to some challenging things, and that has only benefited over time. It's sort of had a two-way experience for myself. It's given me perspective. It's given me real life experience to understand that with challenge and with resistance and with adversary, when you lean into it and fight against it and keep turning up and putting your head to the grindstone, you can achieve the desired result, or a desired result. So, to the origins of TBM Project, what I envisioned a few years back was I wanted to try to build a community to help men to lead, love, and nurture family, community, and society. Using core values of integrity, honesty, humility, I mentioned that before, but discipline, accountability, turning up for your family. We turn up for work, we turn up for our careers, we turn up for other people, for random strangers really, but do we turn up for our spouse, for our significant other, our wife, our partner? Do we turn up at home for them? I know I'm not perfect at it, and I need all the help I can get. That's why I'm putting this out there, guys, because I'm hoping that you can help me out, man, and maybe shed a little light on it for me, a little more maybe. And maybe if there's something that I've learned along the way, I'd love to be able to share that with you, potentially to try help use in your pursuit to try to find excellence, or to be that better man. This is not to exclude any woman. These same principles are universal. I'm just speaking it from a bloke's perspective. I really think that there's opportunity out there to help a community of men, especially here within my area. And now we've got this virtual community and this opportunity to do it here online. Really to sort of spread the love and to spread the message. That growth is inevitable if we commit to it and make goals and take daily steps towards it. So on that note, sorry, it's really hot here. GC's getting warmer. We're sort of coming to the summer months, and I'm here in the garage of dreams. As you can see, my life stacked up on the wall there. Still got to get a bit of order to it, but there is order in the chaos. Much like being a young father, trying to balance a healthy marriage as well as healthy life and all other facets of it. So there are a couple of things. My objective was to try to help men to optimize the 8 key areas of life, as what I call it. And those 8 key areas are, for me, in this order: marriage, fatherhood, your physical life, your mental, your emotional, your financial, your spiritual health, and your leadership. And those things come in waves. Like we're not always going to be perfect at one of them. But what I do know is that as where attention goes, energy flows. I've learnt that more times in my life, more recently than any time. If it is a financial issue that you're dealing with, if you pay attention to it, if you hone in on it, if you seek advice from the right places, if you take inventory of your stocks, if your finances, if you manage them clearly, and you take these advices and put a plan in place, and then execute, and execute at a high level, execute at a very intentional level. Who's to know what's going to happen? Only good can. But the worst thing you can do is not execute on a plan, or maybe not even make that plan or that goal to start with. So same thing for other areas of life. In Māori culture, I'm a New Zealander, born and raised in Porirua, Takapuahia, which is a small town in the north of Wellington, the capital city of New Zealand, but raised here on the Gold Coast for some I don't know, about 20 years. I've been over here off and on different occasions, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I've come to understand that through our culture there's an analogy about a house being held up by 4 walls, and those walls are the wall of physical strength, the wall of mental strength, the wall of spiritual strength, and the wall of family strength or relationship strength. Now, or community strength. Without those 4 walls, without one of those walls, the roof or your life, will start to cave in and weaken and have all sorts of problems. And I've seen too well in my life, both myself at different stages and other individuals that have really smashed in on the physical, setting goals for physical goals, and my spiritual has been on the back burner, and I've let that weaken. And you may have a spiritual outlet. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Christ, and so that helps me to keep my faith and my spirituality in check, along with other personal ways that I like to express my spirituality. There's in my physical things, I like to exercise and go to the gym. I've just finished up in the sauna. That's probably why I'm feeling the heat a little bit in here too. But there's those sorts of physical, taking care of your physical, and when done in balance and when done holistically, we create a far better human being or individual. We can start to be more creative as we express the full measure of our creation. as humans here in this world, on this earth, in our existence. To sort of elaborate a little bit more about my backstory to get to how I got to this situation, it's probably a good thing for me just to give you a background on where I'm from and how I've sort of come about these things. So I'm 35 years old, and I'm one of 10 kids. I've got 9 brothers and sisters. 6 boys and 4 girls is the split. Of that, I think 5 are to my mum and dad and 5 have been adopted. We don't refer to them as being adopted brothers and sisters. We don't say step brother, step sister, whatever. Just, that's my brother, that's my sister. That's, as far as it goes, it's what we know, and that's how we refer to it. So I'm third from the top, so third down. I've got 2 older brothers, and they've been awesome examples to me in my life. They're the only sort of, growing up in our household, they were along with my father and my grandfather and some of my uncles, my older brothers were like my biggest heroes. They're the type of guys that I wanted to emulate in my life, on the sports field, all over, and just in life in general. So our family's very competitive, very much involved in sport, and more recent times at a high level. We've got siblings within the family that are executing at a high level in their chosen field, their chosen sport, and it's only a matter of time before more of them and more family will continue to come through in our chosen sports. So I was lucky enough to be one of those. But for anyone to get to make it to a certain level, from my experience, to make it to a certain level of anything, you first need to be recognized. You need to be identified and recognized. And to be identified, for us in the sport that we chose of footy, rugby league, our parents did the best thing that they could in taking us out of an environment or a community or an atmosphere where they felt that potentially opportunities were limited. The opportunities were there, but they were just limited, and the funnel, or the price of entry was very narrow. And so mum and dad, sort of like mid-90s, they would have been late 20s, early 30s, 6 kids, said, what the heck, they took the chance and packed up and moved a whole family, a young family, to a foreign country. And it's only over the ditch, meaning like it's only 3 hours away to our neighbouring country just down the road, over the water, I should say. And mum and dad still did it. It's still English speaking, so thankfully we didn't have to learn a new language, but it was challenging in the sense that they had to make that commitment to leave a comfortable environment. And that taught me a couple of lessons. One was that to get anywhere worth going to, it's going to require a commitment. And seeing that my parents, packing us up, moving over, we're from a middle class, working class family, but our community served us very well. My grandfather had done quite well with business ventures, and he bought up lots of land and was able to donate and gift that to his children. So we lived in a family, community of my mum and her sisters, and all had houses built and land gifted to them at certain times through marriage and other things. And so we were very much in a very comfortable environment. And for whatever reason, my parents packed up and left, and they took us out of that, and they ventured across the sea. And I remember arriving in Australia, and I remember getting off the plane and just feeling like we were alone, feeling isolated, but also feeling a sense of adventure. Who's to know what's around the corner? We're in a land where they have snakes and spiders and sharks. The most dangerous thing we came from was the household dog or an angry auntie. We ended up getting off the plane. It was hot as heck. I just remember the humidity hitting me. And then we made our way to school and eventually into the, sports and whatnot. And I just remember feeling, we looked different, we acted different, we sounded different. We just weren't used to the day-to-day normals of this place, sun shining through the window at like 5 a.m, hot as heck, school uniforms. We came from a place we didn't wear uniforms. So, it was a culture shock. It was a learning experience, and it was tough, and we had to make friends quickly, and we had to adapt, and we had to, be able to pivot and learn and take opportunities when they came to make friends and to, get on with life. So we did that, and it was good, and it was hard, and it was tough, but it was good, and it taught us resilience. So the older siblings, in the family, we went through this tough patch. Anyway, we made it here. We got set up, and I could go on forever about this because I love Australia. I love where I'm from in New Zealand, and I'm so grateful for what this beautiful land and our homeland has given us, and what this beautiful land here of Australia has given us. The opportunities have been nothing short of amazing, and we're grateful for that. The very fact that I'm sitting here in this garage and have this technology to be able to communicate with you is, again, nothing short of amazing. So Mum and Dad packed us up, moved us down to the Gold Coast, and from Brisbane. And so we get down the Gold Coast, and we just fell in love with the place. Like, if you've ever been here, it truly is a promised land and it has been for us. It's the land of milk and honey, as we call it. There's opportunities that are endless. It's free enterprise. You go start up a business, do what you want, have a crack at it. There's opportunities to learn and study and to get government support to be able to study through that. So essentially, you get your education paid for. So there's so many good things, clean, beautiful environments, beaches, some of the world's best. Well, we got here to the Goldie. We invested ourselves deeply into sport, and quite quickly I got recognised and identified as being someone that was pretty good. The whole time I never thought I was that good. I never got ahead of myself early in life. I knew that I had a lot of work-ons. I knew that I was sort of middle to average in my peer group in terms of my physical presence, my physical abilities, maybe even like my abilities within the sport. I never considered myself to be skillful. I still don't. But I consider myself to be a hard worker and a dedicated and committed individual to achieve the desired result. And so there I was, recognised, and started making some teams, started making rep teams, got a scholarship to the best rugby league school in the country. And even to this day, that's my school, Palm Beach Currumbin High School. They won the national title this year in 2021. So the state title. So again, this is it's all happening really quick for me, and I get identified. I go to the school and I start making the state teams, start making the representative teams for the state, and that's quite a big thing here for junior sport, is to represent your state. And so I live in the state of Queensland, who are one of the most dominant states within the sport of rugby league, or rugby as well. Really just sunk my teeth into it and just got busy. So I ended up making the under 16 Queensland team. Some of the guys in that team were just now some of the best in the world, and will go down as some of the greatest players that have ever played the game. I'm lucky enough to be able to share the field with them at a certain time in my life. End up representing the country, so I'm not too bad. At this stage, I'm thinking I'm doing all right. And I get recognised by professional teams and start getting invitations to go and play for them, and to take a commitment to sign with the team or whatever. So I do. I make a commitment, but I take up that commitment after 2 years away from the game. So after representing Australia, I take a 2-year sabbatical or time off to go serve a mission for my church, which was two of the hardest, most enjoyable, rewarding experiences, years of my life till then. And I'd done some pretty hard physical things. I had sort of, done some pretty hard out training and been in some pretty intense environments, but like that was just like a marathon that just never ended. And I'm so glad that I stuck out those 2 years, because they were very beneficial for me in terms of my confidence and my all-round ability to do things on my own, and to be an individual and to go complete something that I started. So yeah, I get back from the mission and I start, on the back of my childhood and all the, the guys that were blowing my trumpet and telling me that I'm this great, oh mate, you're going to be a sensation, you're going to be awesome, mate, this, that and the other. The whole time I was like, oh yeah, maybe I is. My ego was just like, like invested into this this narrative that I was going to be something special. So I, ended up signing my first professional contract, and within like 5 to 6 years, it was all over. It was all over. Sort of like an anticlimax, you sort of like expect that it's going to go on forever. And on that note too, I didn't play many games. When I say that it was like over within 5 years, that's like 5 smooth years. That's like 2 years I got a deal. After the first year I get cut, take up another deal somewhere else, to get cut from there, take up another deal somewhere else. Oh yep, this is the one. Second year, new coach comes in, doesn't like me, boom, cuts me. So I've had my fair share of rejection. I've had my fair share of ups and downs. I don't consider it a sob story at all. Definitely didn't like it when it happened. But I was pretty hard on myself for a little while there. I still am a little bit very bitter and I was very bitter towards organisations and individuals that made certain choices to let me go. Sort of felt a bit hard done by. Really felt sorry for myself. Felt like, I was owed something and I didn't get it. But after, nearly, 8 years or 7, 8 years that I've been out of it, I look back at it and I was like, it was actually one of the best things that happened to me. Getting cut regularly sucked. It sucked hard out. But it's taught me to be thick-skinned and tough and resilient, and more so than I ever was earlier. It's taught me to be ambitious and aggressive. It's taught me to be able to live a life by design, rather than living it by somebody else's thoughts about you or about me. So the learnings were hard. They were hard things to learn at a time. And I remember finishing up, or like I remember thinking that I'm just going to wait on my agent to give me a call. Like this team's going to give me a call, or this I'm just waiting for a club. Like they need another player. They're going to give me. I remember waiting and just feeling like so anxious all the time. Like I'm just waiting on somebody else to like give me a pot of gold or something like that. And I just remember just like the emotional roller coaster, man, of being an athlete, just especially being an athlete like in a sport where like the money's crap. Like, the money's not that great in footy unless you're like a big dog. And when you compare it to something like soccer or NFL or basketball, it's like the whole salary cap of a club is like less than a player's annual salary in an NFL. So, I'm sitting here like beating myself up over like minuscule money, and really, the reality is I just needed to get on with life, and it was a hard difficult challenge to bite the bullet and think that it was time to move on. It was time to sort of put this player thing to pasture. And I was like, no, I've still got so much to offer. I've invested my whole life into this thing, and I just couldn't. I just struggled to sort of put it down. And I've never really I don't have a family. Well, as far as I'm aware, I don't have depression in my family. We don't have any issues with that type of thing, or addiction, within my immediate family, I'll say. But I would say that, my first month, week, year, 2 years out of that environment, there was some really dark times, some real dark times actually, some times that are I wish never happened. There was times where I'd just be sitting up at night, on the edge of my bed, and looking out at looking at the stars, and it's Heavenly Father, big man upstairs. Is this all I'm meant to be? Is this all I'm meant to be? Is this all that is meant to happen from this whole thing? And just hating it. And I'd have to say that so grateful for my faith that I have, because it gives me bigger perspective of what this life is really about. But my number one supporter, who's been in my corner from in this whole journey, has been my wife, and I'm so grateful for her and thankful for her and her influence on my life. She's been through her own set of challenges, and she's had her own set of challenges along the way, and she just leans into me and put your work shirt on, man, put your work boots on and go to work. That's what she'd say. She'd just be just tell me it straight. You got a family, you're a husband, you're a father, you got more to live for than kicking a footy. And it was hard to take. It was really hard to take, especially with my ego. I was but I still got it, man. I still got it, babe. And she would acknowledge. She'd be like, yeah, you'll always still have it, but you've got to go do the right thing. You've got to go provide for your family. You've got to go provide for us, and you've got to go be a leader, and you've got to go do those things. You've got to go keep being who you are on the field. You've got to go be that now, in another environment. And I just didn't want to. I was like, I want to be on the field, and I still do. And what I'm quickly learning over these 8 to 10 years is that it's okay. It's okay to feel like that, and I can still feel like that. But I can still take those same feelings, same desires, same intentions, and I can parlay them into my next venture in life, which to me, holy hecka, has been amazing. It's been awesome. It's been a journey that I could never have imagined. I could never have imagined doing what I'm doing right now. So this tough patch in my life eventually became how do I put it? It's almost like a distant memory, and I don't ever want that memory to go there. I don't ever want it to fade. So yeah, the situation was I was going through a tough patch, and I was trying to find a career or a pathway that I could venture into to express myself and to be creative and show my creative other areas of my life that I would never have been able to express on a rugby field. So I did. I made a list of things that I like to do, and I started with the thing that was going to take the longest, or I thought that was going to take the longest at the time, and that was to get a trade. Got myself a trade, got myself my insurance plan outside of footy. I always thought footy was going to carry me through life and get me set up and make me rich and buy houses and retire young and that type of thing. But it didn't, and that was hard pill to swallow. But it doesn't mean I still can't get rich, buy houses, retire young. I can still do that. Just take those skills that I learned from there, and as I mentioned, put them into parlay them into something else. So that being said, I found myself as a tradesman, carpenter, a builder. Got myself sorted there, and I was building one day, and I was up on the scissor lift, and I had my headphones in while I was working away there, and I was listening to a podcast, inevitably, funny enough, ironically, and this potty that I was listening to, the guy said something along the lines of like, you end up becoming a percentage of the five people that you hang out with most. Basically, like whoever you hang out with most is the type of person you're going to be, or the people that you listen to most, or spend most of your time with, or something like that. And I looked around at the time of my crew and the guys that I was working with, and not a judgment on them, but I was just like, don't want to be like him, don't want to be like him, don't want to be like him. And I got to like the fourth dude, and I was like, hell to the no, don't want to be like him. And I was like, oh, I'm the fifth dude, and I spend like however many hours it is a week with these guys. I was like, catch this, bro, I ain't doing I've got to make some changes. I've got to do something here. I've got to make some sort of change for the better. So that's what I did. I rang my missus and I said, I'm done. I'm gonna leave the trades. I'm gonna go, get out of this, or go do something different. Not that I didn't like what I was doing. I loved what I was doing. I love working with that team, but I've always felt that I have a greater calling, or I can do more, or I'm called to do more, or I could do more for my community. I could do more for this community of fathers, or this community of husbands, community of dads, or stepdads, or whatever it is that you are. And so and building houses was great, but I'd rather go build lives. I'd rather go build individuals. I could build houses for someone, or I could teach it, I could share it. And so that's what I did. I went away from that experience. I told my boss I'm going to take some leave. I'm going to take some time off to think. I'm just going to take some time off. And in that time off, I went and did something that I didn't normally do, and I hadn't done for a long time. And I basically went and did a planning session for my life, the same way that I would, or that we would do when I was playing as an athlete with our team. We would have a team theme for the year. Or the club would have a theme for the year that was instituted by the players or by the coaches. It was then encouraged by all the players to buy into the process of what it would take to fulfill this. We would then have like your purpose or your mission statement, and we would all be able to contribute to that mission statement. From that mission statement, we would then have outcomes that we would want to achieve, or goals and objectives, as you would say, and they were based around core values. And so I went away and I wrote down a mission statement. I had a lot of hard thinking and time pondering and or whatever I was doing to prepare myself for this, but I had to come up with a vision. I had to have a vision of what it was. And as I mentioned to you before, I came up with you in a nutshell, what my vision was, and that was to build a community of better men, to lead, love, and nurture and strengthen family, community, and society. I wanted to use the values, or the core values, of integrity, accountability, honesty, humility, and discipline. My goal and objective was to help each man, or each bloke, or woman, or child, or youth, whatever, to optimize the 8 key areas of life. And my 8 key areas of life that I was sharing there were marriage, fatherhood, physical health, mental health, emotional health, financial health, spiritual health, as well as leadership, leading, leaders lead, those types of things. And it's not necessarily going out and being a leader for your community, but it's leading yourself, looking after yourself, being a leader, preparing yourself to be a father, to be a husband, leading a marriage, leading with your wife or your significant other, leading your children, to do the right things and to be good citizens and stuff like that. And I really felt, I was like, man, this is what I'm about right here. This is what I want to do right here. I could go build houses all day, but I'd rather build lives. I'd rather build people. I'd rather help people to become better. Hence the reason, the Better Man Project. So, this podcast is intended to help anybody that, through what I just explained, if you feel as though you could, give something of value to the community, holler at me, man. If you feel as though you could, do with some advice from some of these these people that are operating on ground zero, day to day, all of these things, and executing. It's my intention that I try to get on the potty people from all those walks of life, from those 8 key areas, and help and get them on here to share a piece of their mind, to share their thoughts and intentions, to help build our community and to help us to grow. And now I know that throughout this journey of this, it's going to take some time. It's going to take teething. It's going to require patience, and it's going to test me, because there's already been testing enough to get to this point where I am right now. As I said, it's been about 2 or 3 years in the making. And that's not when I wrote this mission statement. I wrote that mission statement 6 years ago. But I actually executed on it about 2 or 3 years ago when I started my Instagram page and started, using social media to share the outlet of the journey that TBN Project has made. I'm the Better Man Project. It's TBM is me, and it's just me sharing, and it's me giving out the information that has been such a blessing to me in my life already, and that I want to help our community. So, with that being said, I don't have any, special skill set other than, I think my superpower right now is being grateful, being thankful. I can kick a ball, I can talk. I've got a mouth, I've got 2 hands and a brain, and if I can set this, the scene up here and use it for the benefit of helping others, then that's a win. And if it only be one person, that's a win as well. But my intention is, over time, is to build up this, this community, and to encourage other people to share the message and to try to help others. And as we help each other, again, we'll strengthen family, community, and society along the way. So grateful for the chance that I have to use this potty as an outlet to share this message with you. And I really, really look forward to what we can mix up in the pot and get out there to the world. So that being said, appreciate yous, love yous, and we'll see you soon. We out.